All right, we are back, ready to get going with the next matches. We are going to have Winter versus Ruypture.
That's right, and Winter is actually one of the players that has been hyped up a lot for this tournament. If anybody saw the Team Liquid posts or the Reddit posts, he was very active on those, issuing challenges, so he was feeling very confident about the tournament. I've seen a lot of people talking about him in chat as well, so he seems to be the favorite, and the players are readying up. The map is Derelict Watcher, and we are jumping in.
Yep. Let's see. Didn't catch the races, otherwise that's what I would normally say right now. Insert races here. But as we get going here, it is going to be up in the upper right-hand corner, wearing the red trunks, representing Quantic apparently. It is going to be the Red Zerg Winter.
And in the bottom left-handed corner, another Zerg player. It is Ruypture.
So ZVZ, as we just had an interview with Spider Slayer, a Zerg player. He's saying, ZVZ, as he feels a lot of the other matchups are, a coin flip. So, I mean, you're a Zerg player. How do you see the current meta of ZVZ?
Well, it seems like, and I feel like we talk about this a lot, is, you typically see in the early game some Lings and some Banelings. Occasionally you see a deviation into Roaches, but for the most part, it's those things. And then, you see a lot of Mutalisks. But with the buff of the Spore Crawlers, you end up seeing them used a little bit more on the map, and they're a little bit harder to use as a harassment unit.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And it just depends on. It just seems like it's such a variation of who gets the most Lings out first, and then who transitions to Mutas first.
It can be. I mean, unless one player gets lucky or there's some miss micro, or rather you are better at micro than your opponent, then you may be able to focus down a few of the Mutalisks if you came from behind. However, most of the time it seems like if players are on equal planes of skill level, then Mutalisks, whoever gets them first, is usually the victor.
I've actually seen a lot more Ultralisks lately in ZVZ towards the late game as they go towards those Hydra armies that are a lot more powerful now than they used to be.
Oh yeah, I mean the Ultralisks have turned into a really awesome unit, a lot of fun to play with, and in the late game when the entirety of the game has been mostly air-based, then you switch to a very powerful ground unit. It can be a very jarring deviation or switch for them.
They also, being in the mentality of the players, going up against Winter, who's, as you said, fairly well advertised as one of the favorites, you would say, maybe to win or place very highly. That's got to be tough too, just to not psych yourself out going into an event like this.
Absolutely, and it definitely seems like he is the crowd favorite, and I can't imagine being the first guy to play against him. So Ruypture definitely has his work cut out for him.
We have seen very similar builds so far, and both players put down a pool at very close to the same time. Both players put down their expansion at very close to the same time as well. Winter does have a Overlord coming in that is going to see the... Wow, he actually saw some creep there somehow. He's going to see the hatchery going down. The same is true for Ruypture as he has his coming down. He's going to see 2 Zerglings coming out as well, so who knows what those will be headed across the map. Wow, that's actually very... Look at that. Now Ruypture is 6 Zerglings on the way with speed timed almost identically for both players. So, I mean, again, these early matches, it tends to be that Zerg does very mirrored things, and it comes down to a lot of micro play, which can be a lot of fun to watch. But here we see 2 Lings from Winter hitting into 6 Lings of Ruypture, and Winter's just looking for some information at this point. He's not interested in doing any damage. He just wants to see what's there. That's a lot of Lings there, chasing around 2 Lings, but some control there. He sends most of them back, sending only 2 to deal with them. Not too concerned about it, otherwise he could have pulled some drones to corner them, but that's just something that I do, which isn't necessarily recommended on a high level.
Not at all. It does look like Ruypture's metabolic boost is going to be finishing faster than Winter, so he will have, about a 15-second advantage, but he does have a lot of Lings on the field. Winter is getting a few more, but he's also getting a Baneling nest, and so It should be interesting. There are 24 Lings on the field for Ruypture and 18 for Winter as this engagement is happening, and there is that speed, and looks like he's actually just trying to get out now.
Yeah, he had the advantage for about 10 seconds there. His speed finished a little bit sooner, but he wasn't able to take advantage of it as all of his Lings weren't rallying together, and he was just kind of poking around with them. But he does catch some of Winter's a little bit separated from the main group as Winter's running in as well. So, maybe getting a little bit of an advantage here, being able to pick off a decent number of Lings.
Winter is running into Ruypture's base with a decent number of Lings as well, and that queen is going to go down. There are a few more focusing on things, but I mean, both players are hitting the other player. The advantage here, though, is that Winter has a Baneling nest, and there are Banelings morphing on the ramp, and Ruypture really has to target those down, but he's not targeting them at all. They're going to finish.
Oh, but he doesn't want to do it right. Oh, there's a nice hit. Takes out a good number of the Lings, yeah. But it looks like Winter's Ling numbers are dwindling here, and Ruypture has more coming out.
And this is just not looking good for Ruypture right now. He's not mining gas. He does not have a Baneling nest, and all he's doing is producing Lings against Lings and Banelings. And unless you are really good at targeting down Banelings with single Lings, you're going to have a bad day. And I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't count on that against a player such as Winter.
Yeah, it is a lot of Lings that Ruypture has. I mean, if we look at the units tab, it is 24 to 36. So Ruypture does have a big Ling advantage, but the difference, like you said, is there's only 2 Banelings on the field now. So I mean, there's a possibility that there could be some hero, but that Baneling gets in there and does I think they took out about 5 or 6 Zerglings.
And Ruypture's just really having a hard time dealing with these Banelings. He's trying to send small groups at it. It looks like he did trade 3 Zerglings for 1 Baneling, but he's now at a Zergling disadvantage, and Winter's coming in to get a surround. Ruypture does reinforce with a few. There's some streaming across the map, but Winter just has the Zergling advantage at this point.
Yeah, 12 Zerglings coming out for Ruypture here, more on the way, but more Banelings coming in for Winter as well, and that's just going to be the name of the game right now. Those Banelings are going to obviously counter Ruypture's Zerglings very well, but it looks like both players ring around the rosy each other as Winter's running in and Ruypture's running out, but he does a loop of the center tower there to come in as well.
Ruypture has begun mining gas again. It looks like he's realizing that this Baneling advantage is something that he needs to get on top of very quickly.
He needs to target that Baneling down this being north there. It's almost dead.
Oh, he is going to get it, though. Yes. So that is done, and he's going to be able to hold a little bit longer as he tries to get that gas. He does have enough gas to put down a Baneling nest right now, but it looks like he's not going to do that, so he might just be opting for some higher tech. But
he's chasing a lot of these Lings of Winter into a corner here, but Winter having another batch of Lings running into the main base. He's going to run right into the middle line, but there is some some Lings from Ruypture.
And that's exactly what Winter wanted him to do there. And targeting down the spawning pool, that's going to do. It will get cleaned up. It's not going to do a lot of damage. Oh, and now trying to take down that Baneling nest. He realized that that's the bigger threat because he will lose that advantage.
Yeah, there were a couple Baneling connections there. Didn't take out a ton of Lings. I mean, Ruypture still does have a ton of Zerglings. It's 30 to 26, so it's relatively even. And both players have in the teens of drones as well. So no one is at some huge economic advantage, and the advantage of huge Baneling connections.
Ooh. And I mean, that's just what's going to spell out this game, frankly, is Winter's gaining the Zergling advantage because he's able to get good Baneling hits. He's making good trades with the Banelings, and then the Zergling numbers are just kind of hard to deal with. Ruypture doing a really good job of just kind of hanging out on the ramp, using what little terrain advantage he can. He does have Baneling capability now.
Oh, he's trying to get down there to take out that one Baneling, but another one comes in, and he just decides to GG. So the fact that Winter got those Banelings a lot earlier is a huge factor in that game. So, I mean, what do you think Ruypture was going for there to begin with?
Well, I think that what he wanted to do is he just wanted to get enough Zerglings onto the field that he could rush in and end the game right there. He didn't want it to get to Banelings. He just wanted to get in there, do as much damage as he could, get an economic advantage, and potentially go into the mid-game, but theoretically just try and shut it down right there. Unfortunately, Winter was able to get the Baneling nest just years ahead of Ruypture, and just had it so quickly, and so there was a massive amount of time where he had a Baneling advantage and therefore was able to, pick off Zerglings, thin the ranks, grow his own ranks, and eventually push in for the win.
Yeah, and it just seems like it seems like he had a couple advantages there. I just asked him for a map a second ago.
Thank you.
He's thinking. Whirlwind is going to be the map.
Alrighty.
It seems like he had small advantage there a couple times to push himself in, like that few seconds where speed finished. but Winters hadn't quite yet. I mean, speedlings going up against slowlings are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he could have had an advantage to either run straight past and maybe take out a few drones, take out the gas drones, and then run back out as Winters' speed was finishing. But it seemed like he was a little bit standoffish.
I think it was the right decision to run out when he did. He couldn't have known exactly what the timing of the speed was, but he had to have known that it was coming down the pipes. And if he had run those in, then he wouldn't have been able to get any of them out. And as it was, he was able to get some of those out. So I do think that was the right decision at the end of the day. However, it definitely, I can see how in the heat of the moment, it could seem like you're not sure exactly what's the right way to go.
Yep. So we're going to take a brief break here while we get this next lobby set up. It'll be just a minute or two, and we'll be right back with the next matches.